we need great borders. Because without borders, we don't have a country. We're going to make great trade deals. Our jobs are going to come back. We're going to make a lot of money on trade. Right now, we lose all of this money. You look at Japan, the biggest ships you've ever seen floating in. I was in Los Angeles. They floated these massive, massive ships loaded up with cars. And the cars are pouring just like, NASCAR. I love NASCAR. I love Brian France. He endorsed me from NASCAR, right? NASCAR. It's like NASCAR drivers. King Richard endorsed me. A lot of the guys endorsed me. Richard Petty. They come in, they're pouring off these boats. We send them wheat. We send them beef. And when it gets there, they don't even want it. They send it back. You want to see trade imbalance. Take a look at the imbalance we have with Japan. It's going to end, folks. We're going to have smart people now. We're going to make great deals. We're going to make fair deals. We're going to get along great with Japan. We're going to get along great with, we're going to get along better with these countries, and they're going to treat us fairly. And we have all the cards. Just remember that. We're the piggy bank. But they're going to break our piggy bank very soon. But we're the piggy bank. They take the money out. We have rebuilt China. The money they've taken out of this country. I mean, they have trains that we can only dream about. They have highways that we can only dream about. Places outside of this country in the Middle East, different places, have airports that we can only dream about. We used to be at the top. Now we're like a third world country. So here's what I say. We're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. You're going to be so proud of your country. We're going to win so much. You're going to be so happy. You're going to have your jobs back. You're going to have your pride back. I often joke, you'll be calling up Mike Pence. I don't know whether he's going to be your governor or your vice president. Who the hell knows? But you're going to call up, good man, but you're going to call him and you're going to either say governor or vice president. Sir, please, please speak to Mr. Trump. We're winning too much. We, the people of Indiana, cannot stand all of these victories. We can't take it. We're not used to it. Please, we're winning with our military. We're going to beat ISIS. We're winning on trade. We're winning at the border. We're stopping drugs from pouring in. We're winning on education. We're winning with our Second Amendment. Please, please, Mike, help us. We're winning too much. And Mike will come to see me. Say, Mr. President, sir, they're winning too much. The people of Indiana can't stand it. I say, Mike, go back and tell them we're not changing a damn thing. We're going to keep winning. And we're going to win at every level. And we are going to make America so great again. We're going to make America greater than ever before. I love you, Indiana. Thank you for all your help. You're really special people. Thank you. We love you. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
This is a Fox News alert. Donald Trump is just minutes away from taking the microphone. The presumptive GOP nominee getting ready to speak in Indiana. On the record, we'll take you there live the second he begins to speak. But first, a fiery hearing on Capitol Hill. And at the center of it all, Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Attorney General Lynch barbecued and peppered with questions about the Secretary Hillary Clinton email scandal. But not too many questions were actually answered.
General Lynch, who made the decision that no charges would be brought against Secretary Clinton?
Congressman, with respect to that decision, I had determined that I would accept the recommendation of the team.
So
I made that known.
Who ultimately made the decision?
I made that known, and then when the recommendation was given to me, I did accept that recommendation.
So did you ultimately make that decision, or did Director Comey?
Well, Director Comey was part of the team.
All people are told that these documents were not a crime to carelessly deal with. Are these documents that could be easily made available to the public, or are they too sensitive to be made to the public today?
Congressman, you may take the appropriate steps in terms of reviewing anything, and you may make requests for that, and we'll work to accommodate you with respect to that.
Is it legal or illegal to provide false testimony under oath?
There are a number of statutes that cover that, both at the federal and state level. There are a number of ways in which that could be found.
There's a difference between prosecuting something and whether it's legal or illegal. You know, these questions are pretty simple, and we got millions of people with security clearance. How are they supposed to go through the gyrations that you've laid out in order to make a simple determination?
Congressman, if we had a specific fact situation or fact pattern, that could be reviewed.
And your refusal to answer questions regarding one of the most important investigations of someone who seeks to serve in the highest office in this land is an abdication of your responsibility.
One of the congressmen quizzing Attorney General Loretta Lynch, Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz, is here to go on the record. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Greta.
Did you get your answers?
No, these are simple questions. Is it legal or illegal to share classified information with somebody without the security clearance? She couldn't say yes or no. Come on, anybody.
She could have. Why didn't she?
Because she's playing this political game. I think she's being an obstructionist. I think it's the theater of the absurd, and I think the American people are fed up with it.
You know, what's sort of interesting is that she said that she didn't make the decision on the email investigation. I thought to myself, why do we need an attorney general if the attorney general is not going to do a job?
I mean, it was stunning to say she didn't make the decision. She wouldn't even own up to that, but she is the attorney general. She put it all on I don't get it.
How did she explain the meeting on the tarmac with Bill Clinton on her plane?
No, she didn't explain it. She didn't give the vital details. It's a public meeting. I mean, if the attorney general is meeting somebody, there's actually supposed to be notes from that meeting, but she says they didn't talk about anything. And
do you think she thinks she answered any questions?
I think she's a professional at filibustering. I think that's why the Obama administration really likes her. And all you have to do is go back and watch the videos of this, and you'll see that, I mean, I had 5 minutes. I asked her very basic, simple 101 questions, and she didn't answer one of them.
So what's next?
Well, I think the American public has got to, they get to be the ultimate jury in this.
But she's not running for office.
No.
She's a presidential appointee.
But as one of my colleagues, John Ratcliffe, pointed out, she did not recuse herself from, she did not step back and say that she doesn't want to be part of the Clinton administration. To the contrary, I think prior she has said that she wants to be considered, and she's got to be the leading candidate at this point, the way she's protecting the secretary.
Would you like to have Eric Holder back?
the good old days of Eric Holder and the candor that we get from Eric Holder. He was miles better than Loretta Lynch. That's how bad it is.
She wouldn't answer one question. I mean, and you know the thing that's sort of appalling? Look, she knew those were going to be the questions. I mean, you would at least come prepared with something.
If I had asked her if it's legal or is it legal or illegal to drive 80 miles an hour in a 55 zone, I think she would have. She couldn't have answered that. Because she doesn't want to. She's just a professional at filling up the time. She was looking at her watch. And go back and watch a YouTube video on my Facebook page, or go to Jason in the House on my Twitter account, and you can link it. It's just watch and let people decide for themselves.
You know, it's actually,
it's an embarrassment. It really
well,
is.
You know, unfortunately it's a very important job, and you know. And it was stunning that she wouldn't answer the question, or at least have enough sense knowing that these are the questions that would be answered instead of giving that lame.
We talk about classified information. This information is so classified that as a member of Congress, as the chairman of the Oversight Committee, I can't even see it. We're talking about people's lives. We're talking about people who will get killed if they see this information. And we talk about it so flippantly, and she'll say, well, you know, it's a hypothetical. No, it's not. It's people's lives.
Well, I hope the viewers stick around for my off the record. I talk about the language extremely careless versus the language that they say is in the statute.
Gross negligence.
Gross negligence,
yes,
anyway.
Yeah.
Congressman, thank you. Nice to see you. And right now we are awaiting Donald Trump's rally in Indiana. We are also getting closer to Trump's big announcement, his vice presidential pick. And near the top of that list, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. Now, Flynn is the former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency and author of the brand new book, The Field of Fight. Just a short time ago, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn went on the record. General, nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you. Thanks for having me, Greta.
And congratulations on the book, The Field of Fight.
It's a great book. It has a great message in it, and that was one of the reasons why we wrote this book, was to really have a powerful message about how we can win.
And it's a fascinating read. Before we get to that, though, I have a few questions to ask you about what's going on in the news. Secretary Hillary Clinton may be vetting retired Navy Admiral James Stavridis. Do you know him?
James Stavridis, I sure do. Yeah, he's a great guy, great officer, great friend, and former Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. So he's got some really great credentials as a warrior and as a military guy, and really as a sort of a big thinker too. He's a superb person.
Well, it's sort of interesting because we hear Donald Trump has his guy.
Generals,
he's got General Flynn.
And Hillary's got her admirals now. So I take it as a compliment. You know, I think it's a funny thing that we're in this mix, but I think it's because we have people, you know, like myself and like guys like Jim Stavridis and many others who care about this country.
Would you accept if asked by Donald Trump to be his vice president?
You know, at this point in time, Greta, I'm just deeply honored to even be in the discussion. For a kid from a little town in the smallest state in the Union, state of Rhode Island, to be in this conversation is just an incredible honor.
Now to your book. Could we beat ISIS?
Yes, we absolutely can, and that
Why
was
aren't
one of the
we?
reasons. Well, because we have such a narrowly focused strategy that looks at actually very tactical actions instead of looking at a much greater effort to discredit the ideology, to go after in a much bigger way the initiative that ISIS and, frankly, the radical Islamist movement has actually gained on us. And I take that on in the book quite heavily, this component of the ideology and how we have to discredit this ideology. There are going to be military actions that we're going to have to take, but it's the ideology that we're going to have to go after.
Well, the way I read the book, to sort of cut to the chase a little bit, is that you compare President Obama to Jimmy Carter, President Carter.
Quite a bit.
And they're the same?
I think in some ways there's a disconnect between what we can actually do as a nation and the ideology. I think that there's a similarity in some of the ideological underpinnings of both Carter and Obama that we are seeing, and especially fighting, in this case, radical Islamism, whereas Jimmy Carter, you know, he sort of believed that the communism wasn't a problem until the very end of his tour as president, and then he suddenly realized, because of what was going on in Iran, what was happening, he made some other decisions that he had to make, similar to what President Obama is doing with this trickle effect of leaving our troops in Afghanistan and also adding, numbers into Iraq.
Well, you went after him for saying it was a huge blunder, I don't know what the exact term, for taking the troops out of Iraq.
In 2011.
What were his generals telling him?
Everyone was telling him, don't do this.
Why did he do it then?
It was a political decision that he had made, and it was based on his own political ideology and a political promise that he gave to his base, I guess, instead of looking at it from the national security, what was best for this country, what was best for our country. And I think it was a huge strategic mistake. And I describe it and then describe the consequences of it, but also how do we overcome that? Because we can still overcome this. This is not an enemy that's undefeatable, or this is an enemy that we can actually beat.
Except that the enemy is a lot bigger now than it was
much
then.
Bigger.
And it's all over the planet. It's spread out. And I guess the reason I asked was was military advisors telling him not to do it, because we're about to get a new president, and it seems to me that we need a president who's going to pay attention to his military advisors, or she's going to pay attention to his military advisors. We can't have them freelance, because apparently President Obama was the only one who thought that this was a good idea to pull the troops out of Iraq, like he did.
And I think that what we have to have is a president who's willing to make what I would call the harder right decisions that that are not based on political issues and political ideology. They're based on what's best for this country. What's the harder right decision to make for the future of our country in our own selfish self-interest? And I think that that's really important.
And it's time now for part 2 of our ongoing series, The Deciders. On the Record's Griff Jenkins went to Ohio's coal country to talk to blue-collar miners, typically Democrats, but now, well, they're warming up to Donald Trump.
Who are you supporting and why?
Donald Trump, because he's for coal.
We got to have Trump, because he is for coal.
Hillary Clinton, she ain't going to help us out none, so I'm going Donald Trump.
Who you're going to support and why?
100% Donald Trump.
Coal country is Trump country. That's what we discovered at the Buckingham coal mine in southeast Ohio. And we took our cameras inside the mine to find out what these critical swing state voters were thinking. Let's go in the mine.
I'm definitely going to vote for Trump. I don't really want a career politician as somebody running the country. Let's try something different.
For decades, blue-collar workers like these have been reliable Democrats. But inside the mine, we found miner after miner who are ready for change.
It looks like the world's going in the wrong direction right now, and I believe if Hillary Clinton gets it, that's the way we're going to keep on going. So hopefully if Donald Trump becomes president, maybe he can bring us back, you know.
We got to get somebody in there that supports coal to have energy for America.
Recently, America's coal industry has been decimated. In just the last 5 years, the industry has lost 94% of its market value. Sobering statistics that are on the minds of these miners.
It's fairly obvious over the last 6-8 years, the current administration has been not a friend of coal. So obviously we're all a little concerned with our jobs and concerned with the future going forward.
And one thing we noticed in particular was the anger directed at former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for saying this earlier this year.
We're going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business.
And when she says she's going to put coal miners out of business, but give you a subsidy and retrain you for something else, what do you say?
I'd rather keep on mining coal.
We asked the head of the Coal Association, Christian Palich, Greta, aside from those comments, why are these miners changing their votes so much? He said because he believes the voters haven't changed, the parties have, and they've left this group behind. Tomorrow, we stay in Ohio. We take you inside a veteran-owned hydraulics company and see firsthand why this issue of trade is resonating so strong in switching people to Trump.
Griff, thank you. And Donald Trump's party is meeting to nail down the Republican Party platform, but right now everyone wants to know, who will Trump pick to be his vice presidential nominee? Well, just a short time ago, Chairman of the Republican National Committee, Reince Priebus, went on the record. Mr. Chairman, nice to see you, sir.
Hey, Greta.
So, can I squeeze out of you any information as to when Donald Trump is going to make his announcement as vice president?
Well, he's working hard on it, and the family's meeting and talking, and he's been, just really thinking about what would be best for him, and, it's a personal decision, and I think that he's going to make the right one, and obviously we're going to run out of time, right, because next Wednesday night is when the big speech is for vice president, so it'll happen pretty soon. I'm obviously stating something that everybody knows.
And obviously I'm not getting to answer my question. I got it, but at least I tried. Okay, the Republican platform, they've added a wall to it, a wall that Donald Trump talks about. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, whether it's a fence or a wall, I mean, for years and years, the platforms included the border fence, which Congress passed in 2006, but never actually funded. So the idea of a border fence has been in our platform for many, many years, and just changing the word from fence to wall is what they did. And maybe it was a little hat tip to Donald Trump on that issue, and that's fine. It's something that the parties had in the platform for a long time.
All right, but it doesn't say who's going to pay for it, so you didn't totally tip your hat, the Republican Rules Committee. They didn't say Mexico was going to pay for it.
That's for Donald Trump to get done. That's for him to get done. We're just saying what our position is, but as far as who pays for it, Congress already agreed that it would be paid for 10 years ago, and now it'll be up to President Trump to figure that one out, but I think he's going to try to get that done.
All right, so today the big news also that Senator Bernie Sanders has finally endorsed Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump had two tweets. One said Bernie Sanders endorsing crooked Hillary Clinton is like Occupy Wall Street endorsing Goldman Sachs. And he also said to all the Bernie voters who want to stop bad trade deals. He also said to all the Bernie voters who want to stop bad trade deals and global special interests, we welcome you with open arms. People first. So, your thoughts on this endorsement today?
Well, I mean, at first tweet, I thought it's pretty good. It is sort of a